by Green. Throws it back up top. James puts up the three. Oh, it's good! LeBron James from downtown.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of 3 Guys, 1 Mic. I'm Little Man, joined by William. And today we're just going to get into these wildcard games. A lot of disappointments. A lot of teams that everyone pretty much for sure saw winning their games. Before we get into that, I just want to say thank you all for the support. And please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Yeah. And let's just get right into it. And I'm pretty sure everyone wants to know the first game that we have on our plates is that 49ers Cowboys game. I'm going to let you give your thoughts first. Okay. I think I'm just going to pass the torch to you.
I'm going to start off with the most obvious thing about this game, and it's something that I have to get off my chest. When you look at the Cowboys, look at their their post-game press conferences, they were all blaming the refs. They were all saying that last play was the reason why they lost the game. Keep in mind, again, I'm not going to discredit their chances for winning that game, but you're still fighting. You're upset over a spot to really just attempt a Hail Mary. Mm-hmm. A Hail Mary is a very rare play to complete successfully, and the entire time you're complaining about that. Let's not forget Randy Gregory literally bear hugging an offensive lineman a few plays before that. That lost you that game. I think Dak Prescott shouldn't have ran that far. If he would have slid a few yards before that, they could have gotten the ball down. And I think that there's one rule that I don't really like, but in this situation, I think it applies. What was the thing that we were told all the time when we were playing football? Don't leave the game in the referee's hands. They literally left the game in the referee's hands, and it ended up losing them the game. That wasn't the reason. One thing me and Little Man said before this game was that Dak Prescott had to be Dak Prescott the entire game through, not just the fourth quarter. And he did exactly the opposite of what we said he needed to do. Everyone was saying that. Dak Prescott wasn't playing the way he was getting paid all his money to really not perform in the clutch, but he performed against lesser teams this season. Same thing with this entire team. Zeke only having 12 carries for I believe 50 yards, right? So somewhere around there. And again, I said this team isn't going to outcoach you. They outsmarted themselves with all those lateral plays. You saw in the last play. They thought they were being creative. It backfired on them horribly. Looking at the 49ers, I think that this game, they won despite Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he game managed really well for the first 3 quarters, but once that interception came through, I knew in my head he's not going to look the same for the rest of the game. He almost gave another costly turnover when he threw it low to George Kittle. George Kittle ended up fumbling, but it was ruled incomplete. That could have turned out as a complete disaster. I just think that the Cowboys beat themselves. Again, I think the Cowboys were a more talented team. Niners were just the worst matchup for them possible going into the playoffs. I think that the Cowboys would have played better against the Cardinals. I think they would have had a way better chance against Arizona if it wasn't for how things played out. But I just think that the Cowboys, I think they need to stop blaming the referees. They have to look in the mirror and say time in and time out that it's on them. It's on their head coach. It's on their quarterback play. I think it's also on their receivers. You see these receivers that have been great all season. CeeDee Lamb is one of the greatest talents right now in the NFL, and he was really nowhere to be found in that game. Amari Cooper had a few big plays, but other than that, your stars didn't really come out and perform.
I think you hit spot on everything. And like you said, everything we said the Cowboys didn't need to have happen, happened. They got outcoached, all these undisciplined penalties, blaming the refs, what they should never have. You get paid $40 million to be the quarterback of probably one of the most famous franchises in NFL history, and you go out there and you just take a dump. Kellen Moore took a dump. Mike McCarthy took a dump. Bones took a dump. I mean, we all saw that play where they sent out the punt team on first down after they just got the fake punt. I mean, from there on, I'm pretty sure everyone knew from that first drive that the Cowboys were in trouble and that they were probably going to end up losing this game. Because from that point, when they started this slump, I want to say week 13, 12, it just, nothing changed after that.
I agree with that.
None of the coaches stepped up. None of the players stepped up, which they should have. If Dak Prescott is the so-called great leader that everyone in that locker room says he is, he should have stepped up and told them we got to turn things around. I thought that defense played well. I thought they gave us a lot of chances, obviously, to win this game. But then again, it just all comes down to the play call, the decision making. No CeeDee Lamb, he wasn't a factor.
Sorry, I'm going to let you go on with your point. I just don't want to forget. But let's not forget that fake punt. I don't know what happened after that. The team was just standing there for a while. And then when they finally decided to call the special teams off the field, one of the gunners were talking it up on the Niners sideline, just trying to talk crap, and it ended up delaying the game. It cost them a timeout. So it just looks like they were just not prepared for this game.
Yeah, I mean, and then when it comes to being a Cowboy fan, obviously it's like when you expect disappointment, you can never be disappointed.
I hate this guy. Yeah.
Probably one of the most famous quotes in my life now, moving forward, as being a Cowboy fan. It's sad to see. I mean, like we said before the year, this team has a lot of talent. It's just we couldn't see them winning a Super Bowl this year for certain reasons like this. And the game played out. The way I pictured us losing was exactly how it played out. Stupid plays, just stupidity all around the field, honestly. From the offense to the special teams to the head coach, the leader, it's just all bad. I expect big changes this offseason, and I know that they say that they're not going to make them in Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, but it just has to happen. Something has to change. You just can't. This curse for 26 years is something's got to give. And credit to the 49ers as well. It's just nobody beats Dallas better than Dallas.
Mm-hmm. I like that quote.
Yeah.
It sounds great. But talking about the 49ers, I think Deebo Samuel is quickly becoming one of my favorite players.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Just the way he plays, I've really never seen a style play like that. But looking at the Niners, props to them. I mean, I guess you want to call them underdogs. I said in the video prior that I'm not going to go with them as an underdog because they were kind of the favorites. But looking at the Cowboys, I think next year, as we know, defenses don't play the same, right? This defense is very turnover heavy. They're very turnover reliant, and when they didn't get those turnovers, you saw the way they were playing. That first drive of the game was horrible. They really got whatever they wanted. If your best player on defense, Michael Parsons, is getting blocked by a tight end, I understand George Kittle's the best blocking tight end in the NFL. It really no excuse for him to get blocked out of the play. And I do understand he was battling a few injuries during the game. But just looking at this defense, I think this defense didn't perform that well. I thought they did okay. I think if you look at Diggs, allowing a lot of yards, something that a lot of people were saying. I'm not going to go out on a limb like other people saying that he's a horrible cornerback. I think he's a great cornerback, especially for being a young talent like that in his second year. But I think he's too heavy, too dominant when it comes to turnovers. I think he's just relying on that too much. And he needs to work on his coverage skills.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron, and that's where his brother comes in. Probably one of the most elite receivers in this league, and it's just, I feel like just a whole offseason work with him and, a couple of Stephon Diggs' wide receivers in this league, or even retired. I think Diggs can reach that point where he can be a lockdown. It's just,
for sure.
Right now he's too ball hawk heavy. He's too, just
turnover hungry.
Turnover hungry, and we all know how that works out. I mean, look at Marcus Peters. Right, he's great in coverage. It's like they're the exact same player.
Yeah.
But as Cowboys lose once again, the biggest chokers of all time, in my opinion, and probably almost any sport, if I'm being honest. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to the next game that a lot of people were looking to. Just two teams that needed a playoff win desperately. One that has been 20 years, and the other one has been over 30, and the Bengals and Raiders. Now with this game, I thought it went out like exactly how it was going to. I thought the Bengals were going to get out to a huge lead, but then again, the Raiders, for some reason, are a great second half team. It's just when it comes down in the end, they had no playmakers, right? And we said Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller had to be playmakers, but the Bengals took away Darren Waller so well in this game, except for that last drive. That catch was amazing, but other than that, it was just too late for them to make to get any type of momentum during that whole game, especially in Cincinnati. They're feeding off that crowd. And no one on that defense, honestly, I don't even know anybody in this league anymore can stop Jamar Chase. I mean, the way him and Joey B went out with that confidence, even in the first drive, I think he had, 3-4 catches?
Yeah. And
he's going against a veteran, Desmond Trufant, who's been in the playoffs plenty of times during his career. And he made him look like he was a rookie. It's just, I think the Bengals have a lot going for them. They're running off a huge momentum-winning streak there at the end of the season. I mean, I know they lost Week 18, but then again, they didn't have all their starters. But just all the games before that when Joe Burrow played were just amazing, just flat out great. And I think they're riding high into Sunday in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Saturday, sorry.
Joey B, he's the truth, man. I did say that Derek Carr was the better quarterback, but I think that he proved me wrong. I think Joe Burrow performed better. And don't get me wrong, Derek Carr had a great season. If you look at it, without him on that team, this team isn't where they're at right now. This team isn't even... They're not going to sniff the playoffs without Derek Carr. The way he performed this year, the way he was performing late in that game, a lot of people were blaming him, saying only Derek Carr could mess that up. He was playing great. He got you in that position. I think it was the offense as a whole, and it sounds crazy to think about, but I think it's his lack of weapons. I think Darren Waller was out for an extended period of time throughout the year, right? And I think he's barely coming back into it. And again, if you hone in on him, taking him away, Hunter Renfrow is a great receiver for what he is. He's a slot receiver. He's a great route runner, but he's not a big play, big catch, big like on the outside. I think that's what they miss. A Henry Ruggs type player where they could go over the top and take the top off of a defense. That's what they missed this game. I think that Derek Carr, I think he played and did well with what he could. Same with Josh Jacobs. I think he did great too. It was just that it didn't come through and they had too many field goals. Didn't execute, too many penalties as well. A lot of people harping on that, not going to get into that too much, but too many penalties on themselves. I think they need to shore up that offensive line. The defense, I think the defense is going to get better, especially with that pass rush. They're going to look scary in the future. But with the Bengals, it was a great win. I'm so happy for this organization, the way that they've been suffering for so long, and the way they're finally pulling through. And I do think that this team can reach the AFC Championship. I think they have the potential. Will they? We'll see in the next episode when we talk about it. Yeah. But just looking at this team, and I did say that I feel like their receivers were going to outperform the Raiders receivers at the end of the game. And it was true. That keep in mind, for when it comes to the Raiders, they held the Bengals to a lot of field goals in that game. They played the definition of bend but don't break defense. They allowed all the yards, but when it came down to the red zone, they did not allow a touchdown. It was on the offense, and what do you really expect from having an interim head coach, having all this off-the-field issues? Great season by the Raiders, nothing to really take away from them, but the Bengals are just a better team.
Yeah, it just wasn't supposed to work out like that for the Raiders, in my opinion, for them to go far into these playoffs with all the stuff that went on this season. And with the Bengals, like I said, it's just I feel like they were riding too high on all the momentum. The desperate win for need for a playoff win for Cincinnati.
Oh, let's also talk about the blown whistle in the second quarter. I think that was messed up. I think it was the ref's fault 1,000%. Obviously, as we know, they're not going to officiate any other games for the rest of the playoffs. I think it was horrible to think about, to see that Joe Burrow wasn't even out of bounds. You blow the whistle, and it was a late whistle at that. But I think if you're the Raiders, you can't blame that. That was in the second quarter. It did suck, but you had a whole second half to come back from that. And again, I think that whistle was too late for the defensive back to really let up. I think he was still playing through the whistle. It's just that Joe Burrow delivered such a great pass, and they just went up and got it, and I think that you really can't blame that play. What do you think about that one?
I agree with you, but then again, it's like the Raiders also, Derek Carr also got away with a flop of roughing the passer. I don't know if you saw where he got hit in the shoulder and jolted his head back.
I don't like that rule because you could be attempting to go at the ball, but if you hit their helmet.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I don't think the whistle should have been blown at all. I mean, if Joe Burrow's running right and his feet are obviously still in bounds and he gets a throw off, I mean, there's just no point in it. And then again, it's going to cause controversy.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then look at the refs now. They're out of the playoffs, and that's probably one of the best things that a ref can experience is refereeing a playoff game.
I think we should explore that. I think we should explore suspending referees, but I think there's also
1,000%.
But I think there's also a downside of that because then you're bringing in other referees who are less experienced. It's going to be hard, but I think they should start looking into that. Maybe actually punishing referees for making mistakes like that. You see in the NBA all the time where they come out and correct themselves and say they made a mistake. I think the NFL should do the same, and they should suspend a few referees.
Yes.
But going on to your next game.
Yeah. Next game, oh man. I think this one is really good. The Patriots and Bills. No one expected this. We both said the Bills are going to win. You said the Bills are going to win, right?
I said the Bills are going to win.
Yeah. No one expected for the Bills team to win like that.
Yeah.
And like I said, one of the biggest points that I had pointed out was Mac Jones. And he folded under pressure because he's a rookie and because the Bills took away what the Patriots can do best in the cold, and that is run the football. And simply Josh Allen put the backpack on this game, threw for 5 touchdowns?
5 touchdowns. Had more touchdowns than incompletions.
Yes, more touchdowns than incompletions. They played the first ever perfect game in the playoffs. And I think that this Bills team is locked in. And for the Patriots, I don't see them making drastic changes this offseason because I still think that they're a great team all around. But I do think that they need a big play receiver. And I know a lot of Patriots fans, including our co-host and Jeremiah, are circling Allen Robinson, Devontae Adams. I can't remember. There's another one too. I would circle every big play wide receiver. Any wide receiver that's over 6'3".
Maybe even explore Michael Gallup.
Maybe even Michael Gallup. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, I know he's on. He's probably going to be off the Cowboys roster next year too. But don't look at Cedric Wilson. Let's put put that out there, okay? But yeah, I think the Patriots team is just, I don't think it's something to put your head down for and just like to hang them low, because they had a great season. They overcame a lot.
Yeah.
Well, not as much as the Raiders, but they started off 2-4. They go on a 7-game win streak. Had the number 1 seed for a little bit, and then it's just everyone exploited the one weakness that they had, and that was a rookie
And that's their
quarterback.
fan, Jeremiah Whitmer. The one weakness is Jeremiah Whitmer. If you guys didn't see the TikTok, he'll go first, just like the Patriots. Ever since then, it was downhill for them.
But other than that being the weakness, it was Mac Jones and the rookie quarterback, and the Bills did very perfect on that. And even with Trey White out, I still think that those corners and Micah Hyde and Justin Poyer,
Yeah.
I still think they're great. They're fast. They can hang with anybody in this
You
league.
saw that interception in the first quarter.
Yo,
I thought Mac Jones was going to throw a dot.
That was the top 5 interception I've ever seen in my life, honestly. And I think the Bills are riding high going in the Arrowhead, and I expect that to be another great game. It's just very unfortunate for Patriots fans and Bill Belichick. And we don't know how much time he has left in the league, if I'm being honest.
Bill Belichick?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the crazy thing to think about. We don't really think about that, like how much time Bill Belichick has in our, watching him. But I don't know. I think it's a step in the right direction. Keep in mind, just a year ago, everyone was saying that Bill Belichick was only successful, because of Tom Brady. If you look at it, Bill Belichick turned that team around. The only thing that they lack is talent. So I think if they get some talent, and again, they did that this year, and look what happened. If they accumulate more talent, give Mac Jones some more help, and make him develop, I think they're going to be fit for the future.
Another thing too is keep that same energy with Trayvon Diggs. I know he's not a great corner, like we said, he's not a great cover corner. But you know who is? J.C. Jackson. And look at exactly what happened. I don't see anybody slandering him for what Stephon Diggs
Except for Bills
did.
fans. No, the masses, the media and all them, they're really not going after J.C. Jackson. I mean, I really don't understand it. He made All-Pro, right? First team All-Pro, or was he second team?
No, but I don't know, all the Patriots fans are mad that he didn't, but then he goes out and stinks it up on Saturday night.
Yeah, well, Dawson Knox had some things to say about that. Stephon Diggs had some things to say about that. Gabriel Davis. But
Jesus, man.
My biggest point, and something that I harped on, if you guys have been here since last year, biggest thing I harped on, and the reason why I picked them to lose that game against the Chiefs was because their inability to run the football. Especially being a cold weather team where I just saw on Saturday night, it was 8 degrees, 7 degrees all night. It was cold, smash mouth football. And I think the thing that really no one's mentioning, and I told my dad this before the game, that the biggest thing is that it's cold. It's the same weather as it was on that Monday night game, but there was no wind. That was the biggest thing. It was the wind that was the biggest thing, not the cold. I think the Bills are prepared to play in the cold, just not in that windy condition. And they shut me up. Thank you. It's finally somebody besides Josh Allen ran the football effectively. If you look at it, they had on the ground total 174 rushing yards. Great. You blew the Patriots out of the water. As referred to that Monday night game, it was flipped. I think it was a great thing to see, and it was really putting a smile on my face, and that's why I think the Bills are a for-real team, because the past few weeks, they've at least been attempting to run the football. Now it was finally working against one of the top defenses. This defense was praised by a lot of people, including our coach, Jeremiah Whitmer. And again, I thought they were for real too. They still might be, but it's just that they just didn't perform well. And if you look at it, running the football, Devin Singletary, 16 attempts for 81 yards, 2 touchdowns. His longest run was 16 yards. It was great to see. It put a smile on my face. Seeing Josh Allen also extend plays, making plays, showing why he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Great win for the Bills. The craziest games I've ever seen. The craziest blowouts I've ever seen in my life. Being honest, seeing an offense effective. It looked like they were playing against a scout team. It really did. It looked like they were trying to get reps in. But
yeah, I mean, when you don't stop a team on offense one time in a whole game, that just... And you're known...
My team stopped Tom Brady at least once.
And you're known for being a heavy defensive talented team and heavily coached and a great coach. Yeah. But
no,
it's just like that just should never happen. Ever. Especially against a division opponent that you know so well and that you've owned in the past. Mm-hmm. I know Tom Brady's not there, but still, that defense has owned them in the past. And it's just... It was sad to see, honestly.
Go with the next game, man.
Yeah, next game, tonight's game, wildcard, right? Finished it off the wildcard weekend. The Super Wildcard weekend was his Monday night game. This debacle of a game.
I was there.
With the Rams Cardinals. Yes, William did attend this with his... he's also a questionable right now for the next episode because of his calf. You know, he works out a lot.
You're an idiot.
It's all good though. He'll be there. Rams Cardinals, 34-11. I think I'm gonna keep mine short and simple. So I'll keep mine short and simple.
I was just gonna say, if you guys want to check out the video I posted on, you guys on my story, you should follow us on Instagram.
It was a pick six, the shortest pick six in the NFL postseason history.
Really?
Yeah. They read it out for the Monday Night Football broadcast. But that being said, short and sweet. It's Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury. They didn't show up again in the clutch. I mean, last year they did it. They started off hot, went 8-8, no playoffs. This year they did it, went 10-2, went 1-5, beat the trash Cowboys at home. It's just not a lot of stuff was going right for them, and that's pathetic, honestly, for the Cowboys. that their one win is against you. But with that being said, the Cardinals, it's just they have a lot. In my opinion, they still have a lot to fix with this O-line, the receivers getting healthy. DeAndre Hopkins, I thought he was gonna play. They were saving it for the playoffs, and then we get the report that he's out as well. And then just from start to finish, you just had a feeling the Rams were just gonna take away this game. They were gonna dominate. Von Miller looked like he was in his prime again. Aaron Donald just with the pressures and that Gaines dude. Oh my God, him and Aaron Donald next to each other is probably one of the best defensive tackle duos I've ever seen. And then the defensive backs, I didn't hear Jalen Ramsey's name get called once, and every single defensive coach knows that's a great thing.
The play where AJ Green got popped.
Oh my God.
What's his name? 84. What's his name? The receiver.
84.
85. What is his name?
Oh, Wesley.
He beat Ramsey horribly on the double one. I thought it could have been a touchdown. But other than that, Ramsey was playing out of his mind.
Yeah, now that you say that, and another thing with Kyler, why they struggle so much is his reads. He doesn't make the right reads, and when he's under pressure, he makes the most terrible ones. It's like he looks one way, and every defense knows he's going that way. Like, he never looks anybody off. And I think that he'll obviously progress. It's only his third year. He'll get better at that. And this Cardinals, I feel like with the defense, you have to look, and you have to get more young talent on the secondary. I think they have 2 old players. The linebackers are really good. It's just Jordan Hicks. I think he's getting up there in age. I don't know what it is. It's just he doesn't look as fast anymore. And I think he had an ACL injury too. Maybe that's what's holding him back. But you have to get another young player. And Xavier Collins, I didn't see him on the field more than 3 times today.
Yeah.
And I think him and Isaiah Simmons, that's your future. And you want to get him as much as reps as you can, especially in playoffs. For when you make whatever it is, when you make a run in the playoffs these next coming years. But with the Rams, they're way too talented. They got after Kyler early. They made Cliff Kingsbury think a ton. And they overthink a lot, and I think that's why they lost. And it's Sean McVay at the Rams.
Mentioning Isaiah Simmons, they took him off the field a lot in the second.
Yeah, that was actually the freaking what's his name? He was a linebacker. I've never even. I think he's a special teams player, like Vallejo.
Yeah, I know. He was coming.
He was taking his rush reps. That's how you know how bad Isaiah Simmons was.
I noticed it a lot. That Isaiah Simmons would come on the field getting hyped, and then they pull him off, and he'd be like.
And another thing is. With the Rams, I have to give them credit where it's due. I'm sorry. The O-line played phenomenal today. I thought they played great with J.J. Watt coming back. They had him under control. I know he had a couple TFLs, but they dominated with Sony Michel and Cam Akers. And Cam Akers, in my eyes, has the potential to be a top running back in this league. Coming back from that Achilles injury, seeing how explosive he is and how strong he is for being like 5'8", 5'9", it's honestly insane. He's a dual threat. He'll beat you with the route. He'll beat you on the inside zone, outside zone, anything. I think he's going to be a top back in this league in the future. And it's crazy to see that he's literally tore his Achilles in July. And now he's back, and he's leading the Rams.
And not to mention,
another round.
He's even though he's come back from injury, he's still fresh.
He's only 21 years old.
Yeah, and so he's very young. He's still fresh. Everyone else is kind of beaten up. This is the time where other teams are injured, and
now it is safe to say the recipe for this team is the run game.
That's
and going into Tampa Bay, I think the Eagles shied away from that way too early. And I think the Rams, they know that that's what they have to do to go in there.
Save it for the next episode.
Yeah, we'll save it.
But no, yeah, I agree though. I think Cam Akers, I think he's going to be the future, and I think that's what people have been calling for the Rams, is to run the football, have a true identity of running the football instead of relying on Matthew Stafford, who I think can get it done, but it's just hard to put it all on him. But being at this game, it was nice to see for the first time in a while that a huge game like that, the Rams had an actual true home crowd advantage. Like, everyone in that crowd, I counted on one hand like 25 Cardinals fans there. Like, everyone else there was a Rams fan, everyone else was getting crazy, which I've been to a lot of Rams games in the past. They have not been like that. This is the one time, even looking 2-3 years ago against the Cowboys in the Coliseum, it was a big chunk of that was the Cowboys fans. Eagles games. I went to both of the Eagles games here. A big chunk of that was the Eagles fans.
Everyone knows the Rams fans sell their tickets.
Yeah, you look at week 18. You look at week 18, the 49ers. It was all 49ers.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they finally had a home field advantage, and I'm glad that they finally could capitalize off that. They were making a lot of noise. Looking at this, Matthew Stafford, I had my eyes on him the entire game, and it was pretty much night and day when it came to his pocket awareness and how elusive he was being. Against the 49ers, was just shuffling his feet a lot, was pretty much looking like a deer in headlights at times. Here, he used his legs a lot more. He was scrambling. He was getting himself on the move. And I think it was a good step in the right direction. As you know, he was feeling kind of not under the weather. He was feeling a little bit injured, right? There was a report that came out in the middle of the season. A lot of things were going wrong with him. A lot of these, like, tacky injuries. But I think that now he looks healthier. He looks like he was making the right decision. He had played with a sense of urgency. Got his first playoff career win, which is great for him. I'm happy for Matthew Stafford. Looking at this defense, played inspired, which I don't know why it is night and day. Why do we get this defense at times when you need it, but then other times when you need a big game like the 49ers, they don't step up? It doesn't make sense to me. I don't really get this team. And it's going to be interesting to bank on which team shows up next week in Tampa Bay. But going on with the Cardinals, I think when you talked about shying away from the run early when it comes to the Eagles, this team, I really couldn't tell what their game plan was. When they went 3 and out 2 times in a row, I thought, okay, they were going to use Kyler Murray's legs more. They were going to get him on some design runs, move him out of the pocket, utilize his legs, which is probably his best attribute. They didn't do that at all. They were trying to build some kind of run game, but it wasn't working at all. That defense was stout. They really didn't have enough talent on the edge.
Way too fast.
I feel like they did panic way too fast. They really were just, at times it just looked like they gave up. The play calls were just kind of like, they weren't really trying to get into it. They didn't trust their outside receivers much. AJ Green, he's good, but he's good right now as a number 2 receiver. I think Kyler Murray. I don't know
if he's a number 2 receiver.
I mean, yeah. So I just thought this game was a major step in the right direction for the Rams. Looking at it, building off of it, OBJ probably had his best game of the year, not statistically wise, but just the impact plays he was making, often and early. That one touchdown in the end zone, phenomenal catch. Having another catch in the second quarter, and then that great pass in the third quarter. He put no power into that throw and it went like 40 yards. It makes no sense. I don't know how they do it like that.
If you're a former football player, you should have known that. Seeing the Cardinals do that trick play where they threw it and it was a forward pass, you should have known that that's when it was panic mode. And I'm pretty sure from that point on, I knew the Rams were gonna run away with it.
Yeah.
Because when you have to go that desperate that early into a game, it just doesn't look good. And I feel bad. I feel bad for Cardinals fans. I do, because they go into so much hope, so much talent on this football team, and just for them to do that in the playoffs and disappoint, sounds familiar, right? But it just it's sad. And with that being said, finally move on to the next AFC game. And the final one. AFC.
NFC?
Yeah, AFC. It's the final AFC game. We have the Chiefs and Steelers.
And Chiefs and Steelers played. Oh my god, I forgot the Chiefs.
Yeah, I know they played. It's surprising. Yeah. Big Ben, he's finally done. Finally, after watching that pitiful arm strength that he finished his career with, he's finally gone. I know you're happy. A lot of other people are happy.
No,
yes, you are.
I'm not happy.
I still think this Steelers team without him, they could be just as good. A lot better too. But with that being said, I mean, it's not much to say really. What he said came to pass, right?
Yeah.
I mean, them getting blown out, them being probably one of the worst teams in this playoff bracket, going in there against probably one of the most high-powered offenses this NFL has ever seen in a span of 5 years, ever since Pat Mahomes has been the quarterback there. Came in, they showed some promise. T.J. Watt got a sack, fumble, touchdown.
Right? Also deflected a pass.
I was like, oh shoot, they might give him a run for the money. I checked my phone again about 30 minutes later. It's 21-7. And the Chiefs scored on 3rd and 12, 48 yards to Travis Kelce. And I was like, yep, that's game over. There it is. Steelers for it right there. They can give a fight with anybody. It's just the Chiefs have their number. And it's sad to see Big Ben go out like that, honestly. But then again, it's like they just showed no promise. It's just all the coaching problems, I feel like what we were talking about, the off the field issues. And just stuff like that. When Ben says that, I just knew it was over. I saw the Chiefs advancing the moment that quote dropped. And just that moving forward, I still think the Chiefs are the team to beat in the AFC.
Yeah, dude. Looking at this team, and I'm just going to start off with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, this is the first game for Patrick Mahomes. Sounds weird, but he made me smile watching him. Watching that throw to Travis Kelce, that I don't know, man. Shut up. Nah, bro, it's great to see that Patrick Mahomes is literally. Listen, bro,
you an Eagle fan?
Hey, we're in a time where we get to see Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Derrick Henry in the playoffs.
Oh, thank God.
We get to see all these players.
Jimmy G.
Deebo Samuel. We get to see all these players, right? All these quarterbacks at one time right now.
Cedric Wilson.
They're all gonna go up against each other, right? I mean, bro, look at I'm just looking at Patrick Mahomes, dude. 30 for 39, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns,
Lord.
1 interception, and 3 sacks. If you were gonna tell me, oh, you get an interception early in Patrick Mahomes and 3 sacks, I would have thought you wouldn't get blown out by that much.
It's almost like it's just like part of like normalcy now to see him.
Yeah,
do destruction in a playoff game. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's just like comes natural now. It's like I'm not even surprised.
Yeah, and again, the creative play calling from from Andy Reid came back. No, yeah, Travis Kelce lining up, throwing a touchdown pass. It's like you're seeing them kind of flow. You're seeing them go into it. And keep in mind, this defense is really good. The Steelers defense is very good, and they put up a clinic. They did whatever they wanted to, especially in a short span. In that first quarter, they didn't do anything, and then all of a sudden they turned it up. Tyreek Hill got going after hurting his heel. It was good to see that he's coming back. Looking at what's his name, Jerick McKinnon. Looking at him, the way he's been balling out, you saw against Denver having that. I think it was a screen pass. Took it and made a few moves and got into the end zone, and I think that's the formula. There's always a player when it comes to the playoffs for the Chiefs that they just like kind of, you know what, let's stick him in the game plan a little bit. Let's add him in. A few years ago, it was McCall Harmon when they made that run. You know, he had a few big plays. I think now you're looking at Jerick McKinnon. He's going to be that guy where they kind of sprinkle him in. Everyone's trying to take away Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. You sprinkle him in, he's going to make the big plays.
He is one of the most unutilized good players in this league, and he's playing probably the most high-powered offense in the NFL. Yeah, but he's being overshadowed by Darrell Williams and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But he's arguably their fastest player in the running back room.
My calf twitched. No, okay, look at it. He has 61 rushing yards, and then he had 81 receiving yards.
Jesus, man.
You give a guy like that in Andy Reid's offense, especially they had no Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think that when he comes back, I think they're going to be a great 1-2 punch. It's going to be hard to stop this team.
That's literally like a Christian McCaffrey type of game right there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's something that the Chiefs have been needing. That's something Patrick Mahomes. That's something Patrick Mahomes needs. He's really never had a out of the backfield receiving.
That's the new Damian Williams right there for them to make a Super Bowl run.
Yeah, I just think that this team played great. I think their defense stepped up when they needed to. Again, their corners are still a little bit iffy, but I think when your offense is playing like this, for the Steelers, I think you're just a quarterback away from being very competitive, being very good. I think you have 2 young receivers that are going to get better. Again, Juju Smith-Schuster came back too. It's interesting to see what's going to happen with him in the future, but I think that you have a good core. I think you are an elite young quarterback away from being there. Going on with the next game.
As you say, the next game. It's the Eagles and Buccaneers. And like you said last episode, you said if they go out there and stink it up, it won't be a successful season. So with that being said, them losing by, I'll say 2 scores. That's a 2-score lead in my opinion. Do you think it was a successful season?
I think the season was a success. I think getting 3 first-round draft picks, I think seeing what you have in Jalen Hurts, seeing what you have in your rookie receiver. I just think that when it comes down to it, I think that they weren't able to do what they wanted to do. It reminded me a lot of Sean McVay in the Super Bowl. They looked like a completely different team than they did in the regular season. They weren't calling the same plays, and when I saw that they were running design runs and zone reads with Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders, I knew that this game was going to go down the drain. I think Jordan Howard was a perfect back for this game. A guy who runs north and south. Your offensive line is big and physical. Again, they could do a lot. I think the offensive line is very versatile. I think they could do a lot of things and block many ways. But their offensive line, their bread and butter, running behind Jason Kelce, those big guards, running behind Jordan Mailata. But they were doing a lot of east and west. These linebackers are very fast for the Buccaneers. I think that was their downfall. Getting Devontae Smith incorporated in the third quarter, really, he's literally your best player on offense. I'm going to say actually that's hard to say. But Devontae Smith is a playmaker. Looking at the injuries to that secondary, looking at Richard Sherman going on IR, looking at who else? I forgot. Someone else went on. Sean Murphy Bunting was also out for that game. I think that was a perfect game where you dial something up. And you saw when he was getting the ball in the second half, he was making plays. I think Jalen Hurts, to me, proved that he deserves to start next year before that game. Now it opens up a lot of questions. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to kind of reevaluate him. I think the Philadelphia Eagles should reevaluate themselves. I think that their coaching, again, Nick Sirianni did not do what he wanted to do or what he should have done. He was kind of in his own head. I think Jonathan Gannon is one of the worst defensive coordinators I've ever seen in my life. Giving Tom Brady whatever he wanted and not giving... He started adjusting when it was way too late. When it was already 17-0, when your offense wasn't doing anything. I think that's where it was a recipe for disaster. And let me just say this. We're in a good rebuild, right? We're in a good spot. Our picks, we can make plays for a quarterback maybe. Understand that Nick Sirianni has to get this passing game developed fast. Enough of these bubble screens like you're in high school. Enough of not giving your receivers the attention that they need. Because your window could close. I'm switching sports right now. The Boston Celtics, right? Everyone said their future's bright. Their future's bright. Right now, their window is closed. It's closed. Looking at the Eagles, I think that your window is bright right now. They're just saying, oh, they can make a play in a few years. The NFL is very win now. Look at the Rams. All of a sudden, they sign a few players and they're the win now team. So I think that right now, you have to reevaluate yourself, hit on these draft picks, get a good quarterback, or even see what you have in Jalen Hurts. But please, just do not be complacent and do not think you can do whatever you want right now. You have to reevaluate yourself, especially Nick Sirianni with his play calling. But sorry, I'm rambling. But going on to Tampa Bay, they did exactly what I thought they were gonna do on offense. I thought being shorthanded, Tom Brady looked exceptional. Looking at Mike Evans, again, another thing when it comes to coaching, Mike Evans, when he was guarded by Darius Slay, I think he had 3 catches. One was for a first down, and it was like below 30 yards. When it was against everybody else, he had 8 catches while being targeted 8 times, and also had, I think, 2 touchdowns or 1 touchdown, whatever. But he had a bunch of yards. Why is Darius Slay, who was in my opinion, an all-pro corner, why is he not traveling? After he's been traveling all season, why is he not traveling? I think that's just a thing of your coaching. Your coaches just choked. They didn't know what to do. But props to Tom Brady. That was one of his better wins in the playoffs, in my opinion, being short-handed like that. You're yawning while I'm talking. So yeah, I'm just saying, very disappointed in the way the Eagles came out and performed. Very disappointed in the way that they looked. Very disappointed in the way that Jalen Hurts looked. Being honest, too many missed throws that were easy. That I think Troy Aikman, he really said it best. That he's thinking about these throws that should just be easy. That should just be completed. That any other quarterback would just not think about. He's thinking about it. I think this team, you need to win now. Go ahead.
I'm just amazed at watching Derrick Henry run on TV. But yeah, like you said, I'm expecting some drastic changes in the NFC East next year. Whether it's the Cowboys coaching changes, quarterback changes even, with the Eagles too. I expect it to be a whole lot different division. But with this being said, I just think Jalen Hurts getting his feet wet in the playoffs. I don't think it's time to panic like how you're saying. Like just maybe.
I'm not saying time to panic. I'm saying it's time. They just can't be like, oh, well, we still have time.
Yeah, okay, I get you. Yeah. You just want to like speed up the process and kind of a rebuild, but not technically a rebuild.
I'm saying Jalen Hurts, I think you should stick with him, but I'm saying I don't know if the Eagles front office is going to be convinced anymore. As you know, their Eagles front office doesn't make rational decisions.
Yeah.
So
this is where it starts. I'll tell you, this is where it starts right now. Is you getting rid of Jalen Reagor.
Oh.
And for sure, your number one priority has to be, just like the Patriots, looking for another wide receiver that they can pair with Devontae Smith, because he's going to be a great wide receiver.
John Hightower. Making a bunch of... what am I saying? Quez Watkins. Quez Watkins making a bunch of plays, seeing him go up for a bunch of these balls. All season, it's been him who makes the biggest plays. But do they dial up shots for him? No. Nick Sirianni just doesn't trust Jalen Hurts' arm. I would much rather... And I sang you this during the game. I said I would much rather them see what they got in Jalen Hurts' arm and just dial up shots at least a few times a game than playing this conservative RPO bullcrap. Go ahead.
And listen, I think they go after another receiver and they make Quez Watkins. No disrespect to him, he's obviously going to be... I think he's going to be a good wide receiver in the future. But you make him what Van Jefferson is to the Rams.
Yeah.
That big play receiver. Whenever you get a big shot, that's who you look at. You write up a play for Quez Watkins. But with that being said, yes, this defense, they just need the right coordinator if they want to make another playoff run like they did in 2018. But I don't think Gannon is the guy to do that, obviously. Especially the way he did Slay. I thought that was dirty when he didn't have him follow Mike Evans. And then you look at what Mike Evans did. It's just hard to think about when you're an Eagles fan. And then with the Buccaneers, I expected them to win this game. I mean, there's no reason that they shouldn't have.
The Eagles.
They're at home. I did pick the Eagles as an upset, though. You said upset. Who would I think would upset? I thought the Eagles would have upset them, but realistically, I thought the Buccaneers would win. Did I think they would win by this much? No, I didn't. Honestly, I didn't think they would. But with that being said, the Buccaneers, just all the injuries, even though they did have all of them, I still think they should have won because they're just better coached. They have literally 3 head coaches: Byron Leftwich, Todd Bowles, and Bruce Arians. Right, all 3 great candidates for a head coach, and Bruce Arians is obviously he might be a Hall of Fame head coach. I don't know yet, but it's just too early to tell because he has Tom Brady. No, with that being said, it's just Eagles. The process has to be sped up with Jalen Hurts. They have to do a lot of off-season homework, as do all the other NFC East teams. And with the Buccaneers, they're still riding high, with a chance to repeat. And
Ryan Kerrigan out of nowhere decided to play. I literally think he had more sacks in this game than he had tackles all season. I have to look up the stats. But Ryan Kerrigan, I said he was going to be a decent pickup. He was horrible.
Did he even get a lot of playing time?
Yeah, he had I think it was a stat. He had, I think it was 50% of the snaps in the first 4 weeks and didn't record a single stat. So I don't understand.
Tell you who would look good in Midnight Green is Allen Robinson.
And Russell Wilson.
Deshaun Watson would look good in Cowboy Blue. I'm just saying though, I don't know. Jesus. Well, with that being said, that wraps up our video. I believe our divisional picks are going to come on Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
One of those 2 days. Most likely Thursdays. With that being said, thank you for all the support, guys. If your team made it and they didn't, just like mine and Willie's, let us know down in the comments. Let us know who you think's going to win these next divisional round matchups too, because they're all going to come down to the wire, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, thank you guys for watching.
And it would help. Sorry, but it would help a lot if you guys could shout us out. We're gonna be.
Yeah.
You know, we just want to get out there. We're trying to make this thing a career of ours, so it would just mean a lot. And thank you guys for supporting us and doing all the support that you can right now.
Yes. And until then, see you next time.